Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of ATI. Dan with Brian and Matt. A lot of football to get to. Week 2 now complete in the NFL. We'll also look ahead to Week 3. Let's start with the boys in Foxborough, who were dominant down in South Beach on Sunday, beating the Dolphins 43-0.
Cover the spread.
By a little.
They did cover the spread.
Just by a little.
I was a little worried there. I was like, I don't know, can I pay the mortgage this week?
14-0 at halftime. I'll admit, yeah, they were just trying to run the crap out of the football, but I don't know. I thought it was an okay performance from them. Nothing really wowed me. The defense, it doesn't take a whole lot to pick off Fitzpatrick, 2 pick sixes.
Right.
My favorite play of the whole game was, I think, somewhere in the third quarter. They're running a running back screen, and the running back saw the ball coming, just ducked, and was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna. I see this guy lineman come. I'm not touching the football."
Right. Yeah.
But all in all, exactly as it should have gone.
What did you think about Brown with 4 catches in the first? What was it, quarter or half?
Quarter.
And then nothing else the rest of the game.
It was half.
I know he only had 4 catches.
It was a great start for him, and then the reality set in. I think that it's still going to take some time to develop the chemistry.
You don't think it was like, all right, you did it, and we're going to work on some other things?
Well, he was still in the game, and they were still going to him.
But I mean, so he drops back, and you get so you got Gordon, and you get Brown. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and you're like, 4 and 1,000. And you're like, okay, here I'll go to Edelman. I think they tried to get Brown in, and I always look at it like it's almost like the Celtics when they try and force feed a guy, and he'll hit 10 points in a row, and then he disappears. That's almost what happened in the Patriots game. It was like, okay, we're up by so many points.
The only time I felt like they were forcing it to Brown was there was one series.
Oh, what, the ball he missed?
Where they kept throwing it to him in the end zone.
I think that was
the only time.
One of the last drives of the second.
Which is a timing thing.
Yeah.
The interesting thing I read somewhere on Twitter, when Josh Gordon's first came back from his long suspension, he played, I think, 23 snaps. He played 18. Brown played 23 this week.
Okay.
So it's not unlike the Patriots to just kind of ramp guys up slowly. And it's not like they need him to go out and be the 7 for 100 and 2 touchdown guy anyways.
But when he does, wow.
Talking about the defense, obviously the Dolphins are pathetic on both sides of the ball, but their offense is especially pathetic.
Yeah.
But you look at what the Patriots defense has done in their last 3 games, even going. So you go back to the
Super Bowl, AFC
Championship game against the Chiefs. They were great in the first half, and then the Chiefs got going in the second half, scored some touchdowns. The Patriots have not given up an offensive touchdown in a game that matters since the second half of the AFC Championship game.
They've given up 3 points in that game. What was 6 in week 1? No,
they
3
gave
points
in
week 1. And then
3 points in the
last
Super
week.
Bowl, 3 points to the Steelers, and 0 points to the Dolphins.
So when we talked about it on the show, is this the best defense since the 01, 03, 04 defenses? I was skeptical, but after 2 games, and don't get me wrong, the opponents are awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. You even in the NFL, the Dolphins still put up 14 on the Ravens, and the Ravens are supposed to be a good team. So that defense might be real.
The thing is, it's going to take a few weeks before we see them really play stellar competition. Before we can.
It's going to take 8 weeks.
Yeah, before we can really say how good this defense is, and even how good the offense is too, because they're playing the Jets this week. The Jets, as we know, are awful.
Mm-hmm. And don't have a quarterback. Which we'll get into.
Right, they don't even have a quarterback. They're down to their third-string quarterback,
Yeah.
and the schedule really doesn't get tough until mid-season.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't know if it's the best defense they've ever had, but I think it's the best prepared defense. And what I mean by that is, nobody runs the ball anymore, so you don't really need guys that are going to stop the run. Mm-hmm. So when the draft, it's like, okay, well, you need a nose tackle, you need offensive linemen, and you need this guy and that guy. The Patriots are like, nope, we just need cornerbacks. We need guys in the secondary. We need more secondary guys. You're like, why do you guys keep drafting corners in the second and third round? Don't you need all these other holes? You don't need those guys to stop the run anymore like you used to in the past. And teams are so, when in the draft, in their mind, I need a left end, I need a whatever. You really don't. You need to stop. If you can prevent the other team from passing, you can be a horrible team against the run because nobody can run really. I mean, there's a few teams that it's almost like the centers in the NBA. How many big guys do you need to stop the big guy in the other team? Because nobody else has centers either. It's like you need wing defenders, and Belichick's figured out the same thing. You need guys who can stop the pass.
You look at who are the best running backs in the league. You got guys like Saquon, or you got guys like Leonard Fournette. They're on awful teams.
Right.
So it's like, if you want to go run for 120 yards, that's fine. You're not getting in the end zone. You're going to have 10 yards passing. But I was looking at their schedule, They have the Browns and the Ravens going into their bye week. One of those teams will win the division in the North. So that's probably your first tough
Hopefully,
game.
right, if they win.
Oh, yeah.
Browns.
I will admit, you come out of the bye week with Eagles, Cowboys, Texans, Chiefs.
Yeah, that's a different
That
season.
is a tough schedule. I don't think they'll all be issues, but I said on the show, I think their two big competitions are the Eagles and the Chiefs, and to play them 2 out of 3 weeks, that's when I'll start really.
Are those
paying
home
attention.
games or road games?
Chiefs are at home, Eagles are at the Link.
Okay, so I think that was going into last year, Danny. It wasn't it. So if the game is at Foxborough, the Patriots will win. If it's in the Chiefs, if it's in Arrowhead, the Chiefs will win. That's how like people were
The
talking.
Patriots still went to
But that's how
Arrowhead
people were
and won.
talking about it,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't like, oh, geez, the Patriots don't have home field. Like that Miami game, if they won that game, it wouldn't, and it didn't matter.
Right.
And this team is better.
Yeah, this team is better than last year.
Yeah.
They've added some pieces. It's not like a lot of people are already saying 19-0, 16-0, whatever.
Let's put a banner up just for the hell of it.
Yeah, let's put a 2-0 banner up right now.
an
The
18-0
Colts would
banner?
do that.
Yeah.
But the thing about the 07 team that almost went undefeated was the defense was kind of aging a little bit.
Right.
And at
Junior
the
Seau, their
Junior
sons.
Seau, Harrison, all those guys were getting older, and they got tired towards the end of that Super
yeah.
Bowl, and obviously gave up the touchdown at the
Sure.
end.
Because I was just looking back, and the last like 4 or 5 games of that season
Yeah.
were like against the Ravens, the
Yep,
Eagles, the
exactly.
Giants. They had to play 60 minutes of hard-fought
Yep,
football,
exactly.
and were winning it in the last 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and then obviously we saw.
I
how
don't
it
think
ended.
this team will have that problem. This team is not as old as that 07 team.
I don't think so at all. I think who's your oldest player on defense? Maybe your middle linebackers are like Hightower and Collins, and they're still only 28, 29.
And Chung has enough, in his bag to keep the whole team with plenty of energy.
You just keep going out there.
What's in that bag?
What's in that bag? The Go-Juice.
So the Patriots are playing the Jets this weekend. They'll be playing a third-string quarterback, so obviously the spread's going to be big again.
It was 17 and a half. What is it now? Do we have any idea?
I don't know.
It could get close to what it was for the Dolphins
It's
game.
not
What did it
gonna-
end?
17. It was 17 and a half, the spread.
Yeah.
Because it was almost 20, and then people were betting the spread so much because there's no way an NFL team can lose by 20 points.
Yeah.
43.
Let's run through some of the quarterback stories, the injured quarterback stories that are going on right now in the league. We'll start with Big Ben, who is out for the season.
That's
Big
awful.
Ben is out for the season with an elbow, right? Elbow hurt
Yeah.
injury. The Steelers are now 0-2, and with no Big Ben, it looks like there's not going to be a lot of happiness in Pittsburgh this year.
Mason Rudolph's good. He actually did bet. He scored more points than Big Ben did all year. Just saying. And the one interception is why Dontre Moncrief probably should be cut from this league. But I think the Steelers aren't as bad off because obviously he's not as good as Ben. But this team is just underperforming. He still has Juju to throw to. He still has James Conner to run the football. We on this show didn't predict them to finish in the top 2 really of their division. Can I bring up their stupid trade?
They did just make a
made?
trade with the Dolphins.
First round pick for
Yeah.
Minka Fitzpatrick. Something about Fitzpatrick, good player, second year in the league. You're gonna finish below 500 and probably get a top 12 pick.
That was a great trade for the Dolphins. Huh?
This is why every other team in the league is stupid. Like if the Patriots were in the Steelers' position, you think they're trading a first round pick that's probably gonna be top 12 for a guy that is going to be good maybe down the line? This is why the Patriots win regardless of what they do.
23-point favorite against the Jets.
right now.
Yeah.
Give me the points.
See if
43.5.
that moves at all. Do we think that?
Total. The Patriots scored 43.5 in that game.
Yeah. Do we think that because Big Ben's just signed an extension,
Tuh.
2 more years after this, is he actually going to play? All indications right now is he's saying he will come back next year, but I could easily see him just retiring.
It depends on his mind state, really, I think, to me.
Depends if there's a videotape popping up. Oh!
Big Ben. So we'll see what happens. Pittsburgh obviously in some trouble, down to the backup quarterback. The other QB that is knocked out, not for the season, at least not
Is it
yet,
8 weeks?
but for a while, is Drew Brees
Yeah.
and the Saints, who obviously had Super Bowl aspirations. This is going to set them back a little bit at least. They're now 1-1. They lost to the Rams on Sunday and were dominated once Brees went out.
Right. Who is their backup?
Teddy
But-
Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And Teddy did
Really?
not. He did not look good
Wow.
on Sunday.
The weird thing is the ESPN projections say the Saints have just a 2% less likely chance to win every game. I'm like, that's not at all a possibility.
Those damn interns, Dan.
Probably. But the Saints didn't even look good in either of their games. They should have lost to the Texans, bar Bill O'Brien not making a horrific defensive mistake.
Little Belichick.
No. Like, he probably would have been better if he didn't play defense at all than what he did.
Yeah.
So, I'm not overly impressed with the Saints, even though they were my...
What's his name still the coordinator in Houston? The former Patriots?
Cornell? Yeah.
Cornell's still there.
Romeo.
Romeo, yeah.
Wherefore art thou Romeo's defense?
So basically, the key for the Saints is going to be, can you survive however long Brees is going to be out and still at least be in the race?
Is there a bye in there for them, probably? So they don't have to lose?
I don't
I
have
think
all
their
the
bye
at
is
their schedule.
Week 7.
Okay.
It's either 7 or 9.
So he might miss the time and then get the bye, and then
The NFC South doesn't look particularly strong. The Panthers are off to a bad start. The Bucks stink.
Atlanta's
And Atlanta
2-0.
Atlanta's
Dirty
looked
Birds.
decent. They had a nice win against the Eagles. Are they 2-0 or are they 1-1? They're 2-0. They're 1-1.
No, they're
They lost
1-1.
week 1.
Okay.
So, with the South not necessarily being the strongest division, the Saints could definitely, if they can manage the Brees injury, they can definitely still be in the hunt.
And we sat here before the season like, oh yeah, we all kind of thought if 3 teams came out, it wouldn't be completely shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, okay, yeah, 1 team might come out, and who do you really want that team to be? Because the Panthers are a dumpster fire, and the Saints don't have a quarterback. And do you really trust Matt Ryan? Because we hear New England know what he really does.
Matty Ice. The other QB we should get to, not injured, but he will be taking a seat on the pine, and that is Eli Manning, who is going to be now the backup for the Giants, who are off to an 0-2 start. They were beaten by the Bills, who are, by the way, 2-0. There's a tie atop the AFC East.
Buffalo Mafia.
The Bills are the New York State champions because they went into the Meadowlands and beat the Jets, and then they beat the Giants a week later. 2 wins on the road. They are the New York State champs.
That's like making up a championship because you suck.
New York State champs.
Don't you think Josh Allen wishes he played in New York instead? Oh, wait, he does.
The best team in New York is still from New Jersey.
The best team in New York is from Buffalo.
No, the best team in New York
But-
is from Canada. There is no team in New York.
Niagara.
The Giants finally made the right decision. You got to move on from Eli.
Shouldn't have last year.
It should have been last year,
Yeah.
but they finally are moving on from him, and I think that's the right move.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens because this is literally the worst time. You don't make a decision like this in week 3 when you're about to go on the road to Tampa that has a top 10 pass defense through 2 weeks. You do it the next week when you're home against the Redskins, who are awful. That's when you make the choice. But of course, in typical Giants fashion, they ruin everything. So that,
Like Super Bowls.
yeah,
Yeah.
undefeated seasons.
We won't go there.
19-0. Put it up.
There was some talk, maybe now Eli will get traded to the Saints because he's, the New Orleans connection. But it seems like he's just going to stay on the bench and then probably retire at the end of the season.
What's the contract situation?
With Eli? I don't know what his,
I think he's done at the end of next year. So I think he's through this year and next year.
Yeah, next year.
But the thing is his decision making has just gone down the toilet in the last 3 years. And I think even if he goes to a team like New Orleans and you see what they can do with a real quarterback, I think the team is just as awful as the Giants are. Because you look at what do they have? A decent defense and a great running back. That's what the Giants have, a decent defense and a great running back.
So Eli to the bench. Other quarterbacks that I wanted to get to, Jimmy G and the 49ers are off to a 2-0 start. He's been pretty solid. He hasn't been spectacular.
He's
but
not
the team's
throwing all
2-0.
those. He's not throwing all those interceptions.
Right.
Matt said he was throwing in practice.
Right. Remember, he's not a practice player.
Yeah,
he likes to play in the games.
I'll admit, through 2 weeks,
Practice.
I am impressed. We talking about practice.
Practice, man.
Practice.
I will admit, he's done well. I really am impressed with that team. They haven't played anyone, Tampa and Cincy, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Jimmy's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
The former Patriots trio is 5-1 as a total, and that only loss came in overtime for Jacoby. So Jimmy's done well.
And we'll see, what they can do, as the season progresses. But perhaps the West could be somewhat of a race between LA and San Francisco if the Niners can keep this up.
And then we forget about Seattle, too. Seattle is a perennial favorite. They just moved to 2-0, too. Yeah. I think the Cardinals are the only team that's not 2-0, and they could be 2-0 or a couple bounces here and there. So all of a sudden, the NFC
West could be a race.
Yeah.
It's about as exciting as spring training baseball.
Very.
It's like 2-0. So the Raiders were up 10-0 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, you want to.
And we were all excited, and me and myself and my 2 young children, And then Mahomes just decided to whip out his Nerf football and just gun.
Was that in Kate? No, that was in Oakland. It was in
Oakland,
Yeah.
and it was 10-0 lead. And I'm like, okay, they got a chance. And then it was, and Kansas City just, was it 4 touchdown passes he threw?
4 touchdowns, should have been 5.
Yeah.
Called back on a BS holding call, 77-yard touchdown.
How many yards did he have for the game?
426.
He's on pace for 10,000 yards or something stupid.
He's got 831 through 2 games.
Yeah, so it's like
How do you have 831 passing yards through 2 games in the NFL?
You hold down the X button is what you're doing with this guy. I mean, so you get a couple.
Yeah, you're right.
You
It's
get a
video
couple
game
rapists on your team. You know, they like to run from
They're not
everything.
even playing.
And you know, but yeah, I mean, he's doing it without the guy they got rid of last year, Kareem, and he's doing it without his best target. The other guys are stepping up. I know they're playing against the Raiders, and the Raiders had an injury in their secondary. They got a rookie who's out for the year. I don't know who's Kansas City's next game against. Do we know?
That's a great question.
Because I was hoping that with the injuries to Kansas City, maybe they lose some games and the Patriots can kind of get a gap. I want a cushion going into the playoffs. I don't want to be like, oh, well, geez,
They're playing the Ravens.
That's a tough game. That's a big game.
Okay.
Because the Ravens have looked good too.
Yeah.
So 2-0 teams going at
But
it.
you really got to get some space between you and the other teams you're
Yeah,
playing.
because it looks like, again, only 2 weeks, but it really looks like, again, it's Kansas City and New England on a collision course in the AFC.
In the AFC, I don't see really any other teams that are. I mean, the NFC is completely different. But yeah, look at the AFC and.
And then you look.
No, you guys watch the Patriots game. Is there any doubt you're watching this team? You're like, well, this is the part where Miami's going to come back.
Oh, no, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
I mean, it's like everybody's talking about that undefeated season. They're not gunslinging like they did back then. I was talking with, I think it was Matt, or I don't forget who I was talking about. We were talking Antonio Brown, great player, 100 and whatever catches. With Moss, it was just
Moss was
exciting
home runs.
because it was home runs. It wasn't singles.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown is like a Floyd Mayweather. Yes, he's a jerk. But he's a great athlete. But like they wear you down. Like you watch Floyd Mayweather to watch him lose, not to see if he's going to win. But he does just enough. He gets that 10-9 every round. Brown gets all those catches.
Yeah. Great
where
runner.
with the team when they were undefeated, it was like, all right, I'm going to throw the ball in the end zone, and you're going to put in quadruple coverage, and this guy's going to come. That was exciting.
Right.
Is it practical? Would you teach somebody that? Would you teach that at the U level? Absolutely
No, you
not.
have to have the athleticism and the ability
Which
of Randy Moss.
I mean, there's 2 people probably in the world at that time had it, him and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was so much. It was more fun for me to watch. I like a dominant a game, but that's just personal preference.
I think this year, if it does happen, I don't think you end up with games that are as close outside of those shootout games, which I think they can be in. Like, you're not going to, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think they're going to end up 17-14 again. I think they'll be able to be better in those games because I don't think they'll give up those points.
What do you think it's going to be like when they play Kansas City?
When they play Kansas City, they're going to try to punch them in the mouth and run the football.
Right.
And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to say, screw you.
Right.
This game's going to be 40 to 49.
That's going to be another shootout.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, though, speaking of those 2 teams, with all the trade rumors, Jalen Ramsey said he wants to be the Chiefs or the Patriots.
7th round pick in 2025.
I think it's just a first-round pick next year, but sure, that could work too.
Would you do that if you were
In a
Bill?
heartbeat. Like, here, go take this 32nd pick, enjoy some scrub left tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Bill's always stockpiling picks, so he's got plenty of other picks, right?
You're telling me if you, right now, the last pick in the first round is going to be some backup offensive lineman, or you can get the best cornerback in the league
And pair him
the
with
second
Gilmore.
best cornerback.
Yeah,
And some people think Gilmore is better than Ramsey.
But this GM ruins the farm system. You can't do that. You can't mortgage your. Oh, wrong sport.
Wrong sport. Same region of the country.
You have no pitching depth. Your farm system. Oh wait, differently. Okay.
Yeah.
But in a heartbeat, absolutely. Especially if the leading contender is the Chiefs right now, and you can offer basically the same thing.
So then, how much better does your team get? Isn't it diminished returns at some point?
In some position, like if you were talking,
But the Patriots are also in go-for-it mode. The fact that they brought in Antonio Brown tells you that. So they would.
But that's go for it, dude. Then the's lifting your leg on the whole league. I mean, I hate Golden State, but like that's how
the league office and about a lot of teams in the league. He hates everybody.
Yeah. So like if they were getting like Julio Jones,
he's in FU mode, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like if they were making this trade for Julio, and you're like, all right, that would be diminished returns because it's like, all right, Julio can't do what Antonio you can't do that defensively. If you're like, oh, I can't throw to Stephon Gilmore's side, I'm going to throw the other side of the field. And they're like, yeah, no, you're not throwing there either. All of a sudden, that's...
Do you force the team to run?
you force the team to run, which might be counterintuitive and why they might not do it.
Right.
But
They'll just down the ball 3 times and punt instead
screw
of
it.
playing against
Take
them.
the ball back.
Now, something I want to talk about, I don't know how you guys feel. The kicking for the Patriots. That's the one issue, if you want to call it an issue.
Gostkowski.
What the hell is going on with this guy?
Mental
I
nutcase.
guess, and he has a history of not kicking well in Miami, just like the team has a history of not playing well in
That's
Miami.
bullshit. I mean,
But-
what is it? Laces out, Dan? What's going on here? Is there something we're going to know about this guy? Is
Yeah.
Finkel having trouble?
He struggled against Miami. Did he miss any kicks in the first game of the season against the Steelers? I don't
I
think so.
thought he.
I think he missed.
I think he missed at least one.
Yeah.
I want to say he missed 2 extra points in this game
He
and a
missed
field goal.
He missed 2 extra points.
He has the second most missed extra points
What?
this year.
Yeah.
Now, but isn't he on track to be? Is he might already be ready? You guys know the stats more than I know. Is he on track, or is he already the all-time leading scorer for the
He's
Patriots?
already the all-time leading
think he
scorer
is.
because he's been the kicker for longer than Vinatieri was.
Right. So is he?
Vinatieri's still in the
So,
league.
Is
and
he-
his percentages are better than Vinatieri's.
Is he like the Tuukka Rask of the Patriots, where he's like, I mean, I know he's won some
No,
titles,
because he's won titles.
but you know what I mean. But like, I mean, he's like the weak link. He's gonna cost you a game.
The thing that always,
has.
Yeah.
I mean, and he has missed some big
yes,
kicks in the
he is.
playoffs,
Right.
and he hasn't had the iconic kicks that Vinatieri had. as
But
far
he
as,
shit the
winning
bed
Super
the
Bowls.
last game.
Vinatieri?
Vinatieri.
Well, there were rumors.
He had that
after-
big press
there were-
conference? Yeah.
Yeah, there were rumors that he was going to retire, but
Yeah.
apparently
He said, "Talk to me tomorrow because
Yeah.
I'm not." Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Gostkowski leads Vinatieri by 600 points.
I mean, if Gostkowski keeps missing extra points, it's going to become a discussion.
But is there anybody who thinks he's a better kicker?
Then Vinatieri?
Yeah.
Career-wise, no. But
In their prime, not even close, right?
no.
I mean, but the numbers. I don't. A lot of people get really fired up about this Gostkowski Vinatieri thing.
Yeah.
Like, who cares really? But like the numbers, Gostkowski's percentage is like
And I will
historical.
have no problem saying that Gostkowski is the weakest mentally on this football team, if not weakest kicker in the
Home
league.
address is Natick, if anybody. He's a big dude, just saying. No, but are people making too much of an issue with this?
Well, I
or-
think if he continues to miss extra points, that's a big
extra
deal.
points is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, they've moved the extra point back. It's
When
a harder kick now, but if
when you're
you miss
blowing
multiple
teams
extra points in a game, that's a problem.
When you're blowing teams out, it is what it is. When you're playing Kansas City and you
Yeah.
lose by 5 because you missed 5 extra points, you're not even on the flight back home.
Does it take that one loss before they
Yes.
call up, "Hey, Matt Barr, do you have any kids
Matt Barr.
that are in
Probably,
Canada,
yeah.
or are we, But who would they get? Do you hear anything? Do you know? No. Okay.
The only kicker I know is now signing for the Jets, so we'll see how that goes. This
Okay.
weekend.
All right. Okay.
Wanted to touch on the Packers because they're off to a 2-0 start,
Yes.
and the offense looked better this week as opposed to the first game of the season where it was just a defensive struggle.
What was the score of that game?
Chicago. It was like 10-9,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
But they beat the Vikings 21-16. Packers off to a 2-0 start. They've got the new coach.
That is a ticking time bomb.
Who the new coach?
The Rodgers-LaFleur combo is a ticking time bomb.
What are your thoughts there? Why is it ticking time bomb?
Because there was the slight blow up on the sideline this week when Aaron Rodgers was trying to call a play on 3rd down, and LaFleur called a timeout, and he said, "No, I want you to run this play." And he's like, "No, I think I want to run this one." And it was just a little dust up, and it ended up working out, and they got the first down. But Aaron Rodgers is a nutcase. He's
Double check. Discount.
I just think eventually at some point,
Is he still with Danica Patrick?
nah, maybe.
I think
don't
he's
know.
with. That's who he's dating now, right?
think
Yeah.
so.
He was.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that game. I think he's a ticking time bomb. Eventually, when things aren't going right for 2-3 weeks, something will happen.
So we'll see what the Packers do. They're 2-0. Got to touch on the Cowboys because they were my Super Bowl pick. Cowboys Patriots.
They're good.
Still looking like the two best teams. They beat the Redskins by 10 on Sunday. The Cowboys offense looks pretty damn good right now.
Yeah, they're good. Zeke's good. Amari's good. They're starting to do the Patriot thing and just pulling receivers out of nowhere and having them score touchdowns. So I think Dallas is they've locked themselves into the champion of the NFC East. Just looking at the rest of that division.
Wow.
Just looking ahead to this weekend, it looks like really the game of the weekend is probably Ravens-Chiefs. 2-0 teams. Looks like the two teams that are competing to be contenders with the Patriots in the
Be in
AFC.
second place.
Are you buying Lamar Jackson after 2 weeks?
I'll buy him if he performs well this Sunday against KC in Kansas City. In Kansas City, too.
Matt's a hater.
Absolutely.
You're a Lamar hater.
I'm sorry.
Because of the playoffs last year when he was awful.
No, because
against
I
them?
watched him in college. I watched him in his rookie year, and I watched him in the first 2 weeks. When you ask him to throw the football more than 15 yards down the field, outside of the one throw he threw to Hollywood to end the game, it's not that pretty. He lobs it up there, and it's a 50-50 ball. And I watched 4 years of a quarterback do that in college, and everyone thought it was the greatest. And all of a sudden, those 50-50 balls don't go your way. You're not that great anymore.
We watched you in college, though. I mean, and you were nothing special. And then you came back, and you showed what you're capable of, and you do all kinds of wonderful stuff. If I just judged you on what you did in college,
And now you're a wonderful human.
yeah, now you're a wonderful human being. You do stuff with the schools, with the kids. Anthony's directing. You helped him out a lot. I mean, you've done a lot for.
By the way, shout out to Anthony.
Yeah,
directing,
Anthony's
directing the show
tonight.
for those of
Yeah,
you watching
that's right.
on Natick Pegasus.
Yep.
The other game, just looking at the schedule for this weekend, I think the other game to circle is the Sunday night game, the Rams-Browns
First time the
in
Browns
Cleveland
have been
on Sunday Night Football. So the dog pound is going to be rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a great test for them against a Rams team that obviously was in the Super Bowl last year. They're
2-0 now?
Yep, they're off to a 2-0 start. So that's, I think, another game to circle.
I think it'll be interesting. If I think Cleveland did well to bounce back, they should have scored more because you were playing the Jets. But I think if they go out and win, I think they'll assert themselves back to where they should be preseason, and that'll convey that Sean McVay is the only person in LA worth keeping.
Best team in the NFC is
Cowboys right now, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's the Cowboys, and then probably the Rams. You have to put them up there. Again, they're defending champions of the NFC.
Probably, yeah.
That's the scoop on week 2. We'll see what happens in week 3, but let's spin the music. And welcome to Podcast Extra. Dan, Brian, and Matt here with you on ATI. Again, shout out to Anthony for directing on Pegasus, making his directing debut.
That's right.
What's going on in the baseball world right now? We're getting towards the playoffs. The Red Sox are done, obviously.
Last night I was at the Sox game.
15 innings.
The Yaz. I got it on my phone, and first at bat for Yastrzemski, place goes bonkers, completely bonkers.
Oh.
And you get all the people that are like 18, 19, and they're looking at, who is that?
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah.
My dad's 73. He's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right.
They made a big deal of it, social media-wise. There was all kinds of pictures of Kyle Yastrzemski with Michael Yastrzemski, for people who don't
Walking
know.
in the outfield.
So it's his grandson who's playing. He played for Baltimore in the minors for a little bit, really never caught on. He's got 20 home runs, hit a home run last night, and I think the second at-bat,
Yeah.
Did strike out 3 times, so it is 2019. Almost hit a second home run. For people who don't know, his dad passed away when he was in, I think, middle school. Carl and his wife basically raised him with the mother. He has a Natick connection. His hitting coach as a high school kid was Walt Reniak. Oh. So they work together a lot, from what I understand. And he knows all the other Boston people coming up. There was side-by-side pitches, like the swing is similar a little bit. Played left field, misplayed a ball, threw another guy out. It was cool to see. I mean, the Red Sox season's over, playoff-wise. So with little things like that were cool. You get to the park, you hear Mookie Betts is probably out for the season, and then everyone's talking, is that his last game ever with the Red Sox? Because,
Yes.
I mean, that's one of those hot takes that's out there. Something else that I read, too, I don't know if you guys have heard. I don't know her name because I'm just doing this off the top of my head. There's a woman who was in charge of minor league player development. With Dombrowski leaving, now she's in charge of major league and minor league player development. And the rumor is, if she's named GM, Betts signs. Because she's basically been like the mother figure for all Bogarts, Devers, all these people, all these
That's
players.
a reason to promote her.
And I don't even care if she is awful or job. I guarantee you she's amazing. But if she can sign Betts, you just give her the job. I don't care what her qualifications are.
I had seen something about this thing you're talking about.
Crazy Peter Gaiman said it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, he's nuts. Peter Abraham, who I don't know, what his deal is, he said the same thing. But a few other people have said this exact same
With
thing.
Dombrowski no longer in the position, and her at least being elevated at an interim level.
Yep.
She's like the highest ranking
Woman. She
baseball
is,
operations.
but
Her and the one from the Yankees?
the Yankees. I didn't know this. I don't know if you know this, Dan. The assistant GM to the Yankees is a woman too.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Because you never hear about her. I mean, you hear Brian Cashman.
Yep.
But I guess they had elevated. So the Yankees, and it's kind of the Celtics have done the same thing. They don't have a woman on their staff. They have 2 women on their staff, I believe.
Yep, Carol Lawson now.
The Spurs were the first one, I think, in the NBA to do it.
Yep, Becky Hammond.
You're going to see that more because if you're good in the WNBA, it's a philosophy thing, it's a coaching, it's going to translate.
Yeah.
And I know it's an old boys network, blah, 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 but if grumpy old man Popovich is having women on his staff,
Right.
then everybody's going to have it, But so basically, if this woman gets the job, Betts has a chance at signing. They said it's a done deal. That's kind of an overstatement.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we also heard, I heard from multiple people, is because of the payroll, blah, 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 Henry doesn't want to spend a bunch of money. There's a lot of talk now about Benintendi getting traded to the Mets for Syndergaard, which
How do we feel about that?
I think it'd be great. I don't know what Matt thinks. Matt doesn't like it.
That interests me because Syndergaard,
Yeah.
Because we got enough pitchers with arms
well-
that are ready to fall off already.
Well, your alternative is
but they lack pitching.
give
this year.
Garrett Cole $30 million, and hopefully he stays healthy. Now, he's a hell of a lot younger than the other guys you gave money to, but then you're really hamstrung. And if it's sign Garrett Cole and lose Mookie Betts, I'm keeping Mookie Betts. Because you don't get guys like that. It's like, I hate to go back and forth with the teams, but it's like the Celtics. The reason they did that Kyrie thing and they make all these trades with risky guys with crazy personalities,
You don't sign those.
you don't normally sign free agents that are A players. You get B+ players, or like Al Horford's your big signing, or Gordon Hayward. You don't get Michael Jordan. So if you're able to draft a guy who's that good, and Betts, it's basically Trout and Betts. I mean, Betts had like an off year, even though considering he did very well. If you were able to draft a guy like that, you got to keep him. You got to keep him. You know.
We'll have basketball to talk about soon, which is nice.
Yeah.
Training camp will be starting soon.
Yeah, we have training camps too. We're gonna start. We're gonna train.
We're gonna run the 40, see what our 40 times
Matt's
are.
back in the back in the game, back in the relationship game. So he's gonna give some
I don't
some
know.
tips.
If someone
Trying to
keeps
get-
talking, it might be
Dan and I, we can share some tips with you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's all we've got.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I
That's
got.
all we've got. Big thanks again to Anthony for directing.
Yep.
Nice job, Anthony. We'll be back next week to break down another Patriot blowout, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hopefully they cover the spread. Daddy needs to pay the mortgage.
There you go. For Matt and Brian, I'm Dan. We'll talk to you next week. Spin that music one more time.